guys have showed up. What's going on, early birds? Let me check the stream one more time. I'm sorry, the chat one more time. Dragon Shepherd, as I know, the senator's hat, the senator's hat. Find me on Instagram. We'll discuss. Just to let you guys know, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving here in the States. For all you guys watching worldwide, tomorrow we will not be doing a live stream, as I mentioned yesterday. Also on Friday, same idea, but there still will be some videos up on the page. You guys should check out each of those each days and do the normal thing that I beg of you to do. Go ahead, like those, and go ahead and share those streams as well. I'm sorry, those videos, but the stream, you can do that right now. Let me do it now. Damn it, ads jumping up. I can't even like my own damn stream. There it is. It says I'm the first to like it. That's not a good sign. Hope you guys see something different than what I'm seeing. Also, considering we have a long weekend coming, at least I do. I'm sure a lot of people have to work the entire time. It is the last day of the week. It's not a Friday, but it is Energy Drink Wednesday, I guess. Something like that. I posted over in a post on the page here just now that this might be a New Year's resolution type of situation for me, because I would drink energy drinks like Nas and everything, but not once a week at all. Like every once in a while, once every few months is what I used to do. But I peer pressured myself into doing this every Friday. So as we head into the holidays and wrap up to New Year's, I may have to find something else to drink on Fridays. I don't know. People keep telling me that it's killing me. I can't tell any difference at all. So we'll see. But today we got Bang energy drink. Wild and watermelon is what they say. It tastes like a very strong version of watermelon. I mean, fake watermelon, like Jolly Rancher candy or something like that. Anyways, I'm over here yapping about random things. I just wanted to give you guys a couple minutes to come in because I've got a bit of an intro type of video. Not a full story. Just something that came across my timeline. And I have some thoughts, and I'm trying to figure out, am I misinterpreting? Am I misreading it? Am I reading too much into this particular situation? It's a guy that I despise, so maybe that's part of it. Maybe I'm a bit biased. Maybe I'm annoyed with him all the time because he lies so consistently. I'm like, I just don't give this guy any room to breathe. Maybe it's my problem. Or maybe Mike Johnson telling a hokey story about meeting one of his constituents and some advice that he gave them. Maybe it's normal. I don't know. You guys tell me.
So when I was a state rep in Louisiana, they did an annual contest to find out who was the longest married couple in Louisiana. And so it turned out this elderly Black couple in my district was the longest married. They'd been married 82 years. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I get to go and present them certificate from the governor and balloons and all that on Valentine's Day. So I go to their house. They live in a small home in a rural part of my district, and a big happy family. I mean, they had 40 people there. Yeah. There were children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
I went with you.
You went with me.
Yes.
Mr. Player, his name, he was 104, and Mrs. Player was 99. And so, of course, we want to ask him marital advice. What's the secret to a happy marriage? So I lean in, and he says, lean in real close. I said, yes, sir. He said, it's two things. He said, let her think she's the boss. Yes, sir. And buy her a new car every 3 years. Said, all right. And then we looked out the window.
And she had a shiny
she
can't drive it, but she had a beautiful new car.
I don't think she had driven in like 9 years or something, but there's this beautiful car out there, and all the kids are like, that's it, that's the truth. And so Mr. Player, Kelly is long overdue on the car, okay, but she clearly is the boss. That's the secret to happy marriage.
Mike Johnson and his wife have the secret to a happy marriage. It was given to them by a 104-year-old Black man. What you do here is, boy, what you do here, son. I can't even do it as bad as he did it. Anyways, Mike Johnson tells the story. He tells this hokey story. And the question, I had a couple questions, and there's not one. I had a couple questions. I get why he figured he should do that. You know, it's a hokey story to talk about your constituents, and particularly to point out that the 104-year-old man with his 99-year-old wife who've been married for 82 years, that the whole situation here is that he's got this connection to his constituents, Black, white, and anywhere in between, right? But the old Black man gave him the advice. And to really punch the point home that it was a Black constituent, which I'm still not sure why we needed to know the constituent that he went to present with this whatever decoration for being an 82 years of marriage couple. I still don't know why you had to imitate his voice. And by the way, he didn't just imitate the old black guy's voice. He imitated also all the kids and grandkids and great grandkids that were all hanging out. There was that's right, that's dude right there, sir. Yep, that's out there. That's correct, sir. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, Mr. Speaker. Yes, sir. Fuck out of here. I don't know. He's done many worse things, so I guess that's why I can laugh about this. But also the reasons why I figure I know why he shouldn't, because people already know that he has discriminatory policies, that he kowtows to a white supremacist president. We already know all this stuff, so that's what gives to this. Because I saw a couple comments that were mad at people that were upset. And they said, man, if we can't talk about and at least imitate a voice of someone who had potentially that voice, I don't want to be here anymore. People that were defending Mike Johnson. There's just background to people, there's things that we know about them. Mike Johnson doesn't have much wiggle room to imitate black folks, considering he doesn't have much reverence for black people at all. That's why. I just wanted to make that point. So maybe if I run into Mike Johnson, but hey, sir, you piece of shit motherfucker. I don't know. I'm not sure the best way I would approach him, or if he'll hear me. Maybe if I give him the voice that he expects. Whatever. All right, that's all. That was just an opener. Let's get to some more serious stuff that's going on, particularly in our government. But I want to start with Kash Patel. Did you guys hear what's going on with Kash Patel? Did you guys understand what's going on with Kash Patel? Kash Patel was answering some questions because now, after that discharge petition has been signed and Donald Trump has signed on to it as well, there's a deadline here. Let's see if Kash is on the deadline.
The Epstein Files Transparency Act has a very tight deadline, 30 days to produce unclassified records. Will the FBI meet the 30-day deadline?
Well, we are working with our partners at the Department of Justice to produce, as we've always committed to producing what we can lawfully, legally produce. And we will continue to meet those metrics, reminding the public that there are court orders in place, protective orders, and orders to seal in place that legally prohibit the disclosure of information related to any investigation when there's a court order of that fashion. So we're working with DOJ to say if we can produce anything more.
President Trump told your boss, Attorney General Pam Bondi, to look into the relationship between Jeffrey Epstein and Democrats, including former President Bill Clinton. Is the probe limited to Democrats, or will you follow the facts wherever they lead?
We'll just follow the facts. It's pretty simple for this FBI.
It would be pretty simple for this FBI to just follow the facts, but the problem is that he didn't really point out. Maybe she should have asked him, because he doesn't have to volunteer this next information. Why Donald Trump then said he'll only go after his political Democratic enemies that he figures he can get busted, and then claim that that's all that he has to deal with. Kash Patel was kind of didn't really point out how they would do it, but he definitely did declare that it's possible that they really won't be going after everything. They're going to try and find many ways as possible to dodge this new responsibility that Donald Trump said he's all about being a part of. But this is the main crux of this whole thing. Here's the second question that was asked of Kash Patel here about the information they're receiving, not only that they have at the FBI that they've been covering up, but also from the Epstein estate.
So more charges are possible in the Epstein case.
Based on the new referral, we'll take a look at that and see what evidence comes. But there's an important distinction. The information that the government possesses versus the information that the Epstein estate possesses. Those are two separate boxes of information. And the Epstein estate has not been willing to share information with the US government. And so even though we've requested them to do so.
The FBI has requested info from the Epstein estate about the guy who has run the largest child sex trafficking ring that we've known of, and they just won't give it to him. And Kash Patel doesn't know what that information is, but they've requested it. Don't forget, some of the things that came out of the Epstein estate, first of all, was this last treasure trove of emails that exposed a lot more things than what Donald Trump and the rest of this administration wanted exposed. It's why they've been spiraling and spinning and distracting and trying to talk about anything else, but also dogging out the people that are talking about what it is that we discovered in some of those emails and treasure trove of things. Something else that came out of the Epstein estate was also that not black book, but the birthday book for Epstein that Donald Trump signed with the shape of what he figured a young girl around a weird cryptic poem that he gave. Remember, they said it didn't exist, and then afterwards, when we all saw that it existed, they kind of acted like they never said it didn't exist, which should have been a signal to everyone to be like, yo, they lie all the time. What else are they lying about? Why would they lie that that was there when Donald Trump knew that was there? It's weird. It's like they lie all the time. They have no credibility. So maybe we shouldn't listen to anything that they really say. But it's weird that the FBI can't get the information about this guy that they arrested, convicted, put in prison, and who died then in prison by his own destruction. It's weird. Why can't they get the information? I don't run the FBI. Maybe there's this Epstein estate has some kind of power of the FBI and they don't have to give that information. But I do know it's something that is rattling this administration, specifically Donald Trump, because there's information apparently with the Epstein estate that they really don't know about, or maybe they know it potentially exists, but they have no access to it. I'm going to replay for you guys what Representative Melanie Stansbury said about some of that information that she did see in some of the things that I assume she got from the Epstein estate, because that was given to, Democratic Congress people and senators who released some of that stuff. Remember what she said?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I actually went through the files this weekend in depth. Donald Trump is not only named over and over in them, it is discussed this trial in which he was accused of raping a 13-year-old at Epstein's house. There is extensive discussions about a subpoena of Donald Trump in one of Jeffrey Epstein's cases in which he was accused for rape and sexual abuse. He was subpoenaed and gave a deposition in that case. There is extensive discussion between Donald Trump, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Mr. Wolf about not only Trump coming to his house, but Epstein says in these emails that he has photographs of Trump with girls.
That was some of the stuff that Melanie Stansbury said that she's seen. Let me read some things to you guys, and trigger warning or just disgust warning, or maybe you just don't want to hear graphic details of accusations of rape, of assault of young girls, specifically just this one in this case. This has been public information. It's stuff that has been seen and discussed before, and then it just kind of fades away. It's been years of it. We've talked about it many times. Victims that came forward now that were speaking in front of press conferences that were fueled by Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna and the rest of the crew. They talked about the things that they've been through, that they've seen, that they've experienced. But we always kind of just let it go. I got to read a couple of these instances from these redacted declarations from alleged victims that are part of the 20,000 subpoenaed Epstein estate files. By the way, as this point out, these things again are totally public and they aren't brand new. It's just these folks a lot of times ran away and went away from public view because someone potentially threatened them. Let me see if I can gear in on this a little bit closer to read some of the highlighted portions. Again, you guys may want to fade for a couple minutes if you don't want to hear this. If some folks are triggered by this or are traumatized from their own experiences. So let me read a couple of moments of the accusations. This woman says, I was hired and paid directly by Mr. Epstein from the years of 1991 to 2000 to attract adolescent women to attend these parties, most of which were held at what is known as the Weimer Mansion, and it has a location in New York City, down to the number 7 point. It was at these series of parties that I personally witnessed the plaintiff being forced. This is at the time, the person said they were 13 years old, being forced to perform various sexual acts with Donald J. Trump and Mr. Epstein. Both Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein were advised that she was 13 years old. I personally witnessed 4 sexual encounters that the plaintiff was forced to have with Mr. Trump during this period, including the 4th of these encounters where Mr. Trump forcibly raped her despite her pleas for him to stop. Sorry, the text is a little bit small. Let me see if I can make it bigger here. Can I? Can I? No. So that's the first page of it. And as we've said before, there's people that are saying, how dare you guys talk about the potential of Donald Trump being involved to the degree that people speculate that he's involved. But there's just a lot of accounts and accusations that people have for what it is that this guy had done. Here's page 2. This is a witness to this. I was subject to extreme. Oh, let me connect it. Apologies. Next page of this. There's only 3. I was subject to extreme sexual and physical abuse by the defendants, including forcible rape that took place at several parties of defendant Epstein during the summer of 1994 in New York City at a residence used by defendant Epstein. During this period, I was 13 years old. So obviously, this is now the girl that was assaulted. Allegedly, this is her accusations. The parties were held at a New York residence that was being used by defendant Jeffrey Epstein. Each of the parties had other minor females and a number of guests of Mr. Epstein, including defendant Donald Trump. At 4 of the parties I attended, I understood that both Mr. Trump and Mr. Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. Defendant Trump had sexual contact with me at 4 different parties in the summer of 1994. On the 4th and final encounter with defendant Trump tied me to a bed, exposed himself to me, then proceeded to forcibly rape me. During the course of this savage sexual attack, I loudly plead with the defendant Trump to stop, but he did not. Defendant Trump responded to my pleas by violently striking me in the face with his open hand and screaming that he would do whatever he wanted. Immediately following this rape, defendant Trump threatened me that were I to ever reveal any of the details of defendant Trump's sexual and physical abuse of me, my family, and I would be physically harmed, if not killed. Defendant Epstein should have been the one who took my virginity, not defendant Trump, before I finally managed to break away from defendant Epstein. This was, I don't know if you guys had heard some of the accounts of what they said happened, but there was apparently fights and disagreements and anger between Epstein and Donald Trump about who gets to be the one to violate that 13-year-old, allegedly. Again, according to these documents. Last document, I'm sorry I'm reading it like this. It's really small text and it's kind of far from me. So bear with me. I'm sorry. This is the last one, both in the content and my pace of reading this. So maybe these are things that that Melanie Stansberry was talking about. So this is back to the person who witnessed it. I personally witnessed the one occasion where Mr. Trump forced the plaintiff and a 12-year-old female named blanked out perform oral sex on Mr. Trump and witnessed his physical abuse of both minors when they finished the act. I personally witnessed or was made immediately aware of the 2 occasions where my boss, Mr. Epstein, attempted to rape and sodomize the plaintiff. I personally witnessed Mr. Epstein sexually and physically abusive to other minor females, even younger than her. Down on number 14, I personally witnessed defendant Trump telling the plaintiff that that he shouldn't ever say anything if she didn't want to disappear like the 12-year-old female Maria, and that he was capable of having her whole family killed. Lastly, here, after leaving the employment of Mr. Epstein in the year 2000, I was personally threatened by Mr. Epstein that I would be killed and my family killed as well if I ever disclosed any of the physical and sexual abuse of minor females that I had personally witnessed by Mr. Epstein and any of his guests. So that's the stuff that, as I've read through some of those, people say, I remember hearing about this. I remember hearing about a 13-year-old girl. I remember hearing about this, that, and the third. And then those folks kind of fade back away from the spotlight because, as they allege, and some folks around them allege, they get threatened by very powerful and connected people who make these kinds of threats. So I just want to point out some of the things that Melanie Stansberry said that she saw. I want to also connect that to the fact that Kash Patel is still dancing around the release of this situation and say that he's going to only go after certain people or release it all. And also the fact that they don't have connections or they don't have access to the things in the Epstein estate, which apparently that was a part of. I don't know. I feel like the FBI would have had that information and then hide it. So let me advance this further about Kash Patel, since that's where we started. Do you guys remember? So think about what we just went through, the disgusting details of that was accused of Donald Trump. And think about what Kash Patel said to this guy a few months ago.
You've seen most of the files. Who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these young women to besides himself?
Himself. There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. And the information we have, again, is limited.
So the answer is no one?
For the information that we have.
In the files?
In the case file.
Okay.
Jeffrey Epstein trafficked to no one. It's hard to make that the situation, because I feel like that wasn't ever what was talked about. But suddenly, as you heard the, I guess, pseudo lawyer talk that Kash Patel had there, according to case files that I have access to, according to what I know. I mean, I don't know so much, and also I don't have any access to anything that's happening with the Epstein estate, but that's all that I really know. That's all I know. All I know from access legally. I don't know pieces of information. It kind of doesn't make any sense. So unsurprisingly, did you guys remember this part? I didn't know that this happened right afterwards. Thomas Massey then asked Patel for more details based off of what it is that we already know, because, 2 + 2 still equals 4.
Director Patel, I watched some of your Senate hearing yesterday when Senator Kennedy asked you, you've seen most of the files, who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these women to besides himself? You replied, according to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. You also said somewhere in the hearing and here today that the problem is that the case files are constrained by limited search warrants from 2006 to 2007, and that the non-prosecution agreement hamstrung future investigations. Those constraints only apply to the Southern District of Florida. They do not apply to the Southern District of New York, the location of the 2019 sex trafficking indictment, which produced many things, including a series of FD 302 documents. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors such as Virginia Roberts Dufree. May she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada.
It's odd. They have all these, I guess, positions and potential names of people that were part of this trafficking and that were clients or participants, culprits, rapists, pedophiles involved in this whole thing. So Thomas Massey completely dismantled his excuse about how they don't have any access to it and the reasons why they couldn't do it before, all that stuff, whatever. So, but now again, like before, now that we see who the liar is, why would we believe anything else that he has to say? So this is Kash Patel's answer once he's then cornered with all this information that flies in the face of what is that he told Senator Kennedy, and also I guess Thomas Massey too. Here's his answer.
We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information. And we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
So is the loophole here, or is it your assertion that these victims aren't credible, that the 302s maybe didn't produce credible statements that rise to a probable cause?
It's not my assertion, sir. It's the assertion of two different United States attorneys' offices from three separate administrations who investigated those same materials at one time.
The 302 documents in the FBI's possession?
They reviewed all that. Yes, sir.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents that where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said
I named one today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay.
Kash Patel made his entire life, or half of his political life, outside of getting back in any kind of power, off of how he's going to come down hard on this whole thing. But Kash Patel didn't have enough curiosity to go into the files themselves. I mean, former FBI agents have looked into it. Former administrations have looked into it. So I just figured, well, they probably did an okay job. Whatever it is that they found, I don't know. Does that make any sense? For all the fire breathing that he was doing before and all the promises that he was making, and he would get into the bottom of this because other administrations screwed this up, which I'm sure they did. So why weren't you the one to finally get to the bottom of this whole thing? Because suddenly he doesn't have much curiosity anymore about what it is that's in there, who's involved, the names behind it. Someone else did it. I don't have any time. I'm just here talking to you. Does any of that make any sense to you? I feel like there's more and more people that it doesn't make sense to, and that's probably the reason why there's reports like this floating around now about Kash Patel.
Breaking news. MS Now has just learned that FBI Director Kash Patel may be out of a job in the coming months. Three people with knowledge of the situation say President Trump and his top aides have grown tired of Patel and the unflattering headlines he's been generating recently, including using a government jet to visit his girlfriend and enlisting a SWAT team as her security detail. Breaking news.
I feel like it probably goes a little bit further than him using airplanes to fly his girlfriend around, and also using government officials as some kind of, protective service for that same girlfriend. I feel like it stretches further than that, because we also know how Donald Trump wants people to protect him at all costs, even though he keeps screwing up any aspect that they have to protect him with, any other lies they can potentially tell, and he blames them for it. I wonder if these reports are true about him potentially on the way out, if it has more to do with just the plain usage. I feel like it might. So maybe we'll see what they said in the report. This from NBC News. MS Now, I'm sorry. Patel has come under scrutiny for stewardship of bureau resources, including his girlfriend's security detail and use of that government jet, and for his squabbles with other Trump loyalists. Trump and the White House aides have confided to allies that the president is eyeing removing Patel and is considering top FBI official Andrew Bailey as the new bureau's new director. Patel is described as being on thin ice, and his ouster appears closer than ever, with Bailey as the logical replacement. Two of those sources, of course, said that as well, though Trump could change his mind in the weeks to come. I feel like him potentially changing his mind in the weeks to come, probably, or at least delaying it, or finding some other way and reasons to get rid of this guy, would be because everyone's talking about it now. Here's a little bit more. White House spokeswoman Abigail Jackson responded to MS Now, saying President Trump has assembled the most talented and impressive administration in history, and they're doing an excellent job carrying out the president's agenda. FBI Director Patel is a critical member of the president's team, and he's working tirelessly to restore integrity to the FBI. Did any of that statement say anything about how he's not going to fire his ass or find some other way to get rid of him? They need to be a little bit more definite, direct, and accusatory in the way that they push back on these reports of Kash Patel potentially going away. That's where Caroline Leavitt comes in. She comes in firing. She says this story is completely made up. In fact, when this fake news published, I was in the Oval Office where President Trump was meeting with his law enforcement team, including FBI Director Kash Patel. I read the headline to the president and he laughed. He said, "What? That's totally false. Come on, Kash. Let's take a picture to show them you're doing a great job." Do not believe the fake news. So there's the picture apparently that they took that he's doing a great job because taking a picture with someone proves that there's no plans for you to get rid of them as they've continued to bungle all kinds of things and you continue to look really bad because of the potentially very disgusting and nasty things, illegal activities that you were involved in over the years. Just saying. That's not proof. But maybe they won't fire him. These are just reports. I can't fully rely on that to be the particular case, but I do know this isn't going too well for him. They're probably looking forward to these vacations and holiday seasons to come up so they can distract some more from this as they try and hide. Because remember, it's 30 days they have to come up with these things, and the clock has been ticking for about a week already. Let's see. That's Kash Patel. I read someone say, Donald Trump's about to cash out. I mean, the memes and the puns are going to be flying around with this guy. Anyways, let's move on. I'm okay spending 30 minutes on that because, again, I feel like this is very important. This is the reasons why this administration is running scared from this story. They don't want it coming out, and they're going to try and find 7 to 10 different ways in the next month to have their next excuses for why they're not going to do anything or give slithers of information. But they're still afraid of what it is that's potentially being discovered and shared from the Epstein estate. Who doesn't want to share anything with them? Who knows where the truth lies with any of this stuff? Let's move on. Because not only is this administration covering up things with Epstein files and the child sex trafficking ring that I guess buddies of Donald Trump were involved in, they're also still attacking American cities. Did you guys see what's going on in St. Paul, Minnesota? There's a woman standing in her yard, and there's a gang in her yard.
With my address on it. This is her house. I need a warrant with my own address on it. Do you want to see my mortgage? I own this house. I am upset because this is not. You need a warrant. You need a warrant. You need a warrant. This is an illegal action without a warrant. This is my property. You need a warrant. You cannot trespass on her property without a warrant. The church, you can use that. That you can use, they will authorize you. I will not. This is my home and my property. No, I am not. She's not obstructing, it's her house. It's her land. She owns it. I'm asking for a warrant with my address on it. Why can you not present that to me? Why can you not? Obstruction of what? It's her house. In addition to that, assaulting the actors in front of the house. I do not believe you're allowed to do that on private property without a warrant.
Pause for a second, you guys. So as you can see, this woman is demanding a search warrant, or at least a warrant for them to stand on her front lawn and tell her that she doesn't get to kick them the hell off of her property as they stand there with sirens blaring, gas masks on, and a fight that's about to happen. But the threats come to the homeowner that she's going to be arrested for obstruction for standing on her own front lawn and telling them to get the hell away from there, or present the warrant that they get to stand there and do what they want. Isn't it weird how when fascists are in office, suddenly, people's, castle doctrines and their ability to have their own property to themselves is no longer theirs? It's weird. Let's watch more of what it is that they're doing here in St. Paul.
That's crazy. That's insane. Ready, a medical call to the front of the address. Please move your protest to the west. We will be conducting a line push. Do not interfere with the officer. Insane. We will be conducting a line push to the west. Do not interfere with our officers. If you do so, we may use force. Pussy ass. I'm not moving. I'm just watching you fucking document crimes that you're committing.
So that was a scene from that woman's front yard. But what was happening along that street as they were then going after a targeted, I guess, a targeted individual that they were looking to take into custody there. Folks came out because they're tired of them running through their neighborhoods, assaulting people, arresting American citizens, arresting people that are here legally, just for the sake of their brown skin, and confrontations happened. It's exactly what they were looking for. Here's more of it.
Protesters were sprayed at another St. Paul ICE raid. This is in the Payne-Phelan neighborhood. This happened Tuesday morning. A bit before this, law enforcement said, "You are too close. If you do not comply, we will use force." Then our cameras captured this image of what appears to be a protester getting sprayed directly in the face as the spraying continues and they push the crowd back and the crowd moves back. These images were captured by photojournalist David Peterlins. He himself saw at least 2 people taken into custody. We are working to get all of the details. We're not exactly sure why ICE was there. We have reached out to them and we will bring more information as it comes.
So they got people handcuffed. And while another coward sprays a ton of chemical agents in this guy's face, and as they spray it across the whole neighborhood, in front of a bunch of residents that are tired of them invading, that are tired of this invading army to continue to attack them. So now we got chemical agents being spread further. Remember, Greg Bovino got in some not in real trouble, just was reprimanded lightly for doing these same kind of tactics in Chicago before they kicked his ass out. And he said, "I'm moving on to North Carolina next," because all he cares about is assaulting Americans. It's weird. It's like they're traitors or something. This kept going on for quite some time. Here's more of the scene. They weren't just spraying people, which of course they did, making it look like some kind of war zone, but they were attacking folks for standing there. Isn't it weird? And like, it's November. It's about to be Thanksgiving. And this guy came in the White House in the beginning of January. And now, at this point, at the end of this same year, this guy's got people in the streets. You got constant rounds of firing. Who knows what kind of weapons they're shooting at folks. Tear gas, chemical agents, and violence on residents. So that's what's happening in the streets. But this is who it is, I guess, they were going after. Here's some folks who witnessed it. Talk about what is it they're doing out there and also why these guys were here. Again, St. Paul, Minnesota.
Get your fucking gun. Oh, hell no. Get your fucking gun. Oh, hell no.
Our people united will never be defeated. La guardia se va a ir ya. The police will leave. Everybody will leave. That was the deal.
Put it down. You put it down.
Yeah, we know there's a pretty massive federal action and also equally so a very massive community response to HSI being in our neighborhoods and ICE being in our neighborhoods. Yeah, this is not what we deserve, and now folks are taking it upon themselves to make sure that we're keeping our neighbors safe.
Yeah. So again, one of the women is the resident of I guess, their target that they came after during this whole debacle. But people are fighting back. You're going to see it more. Maybe you're going to see more violence because they're ramping it up. I feel like the residents in St. Paul weren't going around with chemical agents tossing it around, but the folks who showed up there, as we saw in that lady's front yard, had gas masks on. Do you think they were anticipating all this Antifa types to come out with tear gas, or were they prepared to launch tear gas attacks on these folks? I think we all know the answer to that question. Except, so I wondered, I kept hearing about the mayor of St. Paul talking about this. And I was like, oh, maybe he's coming out and going to protect his citizens, the people who voted for him. What's weird? Actually, it's not weird at all. The mayor of St. Paul did come forward. He was standing outside, and I guess some news reporters and journalists asked him, so what the hell, bro? What's going on? Here's his answer.
Are we still in sanctuary city?
Of course.
Then why were police? Why was SPD?
What I said just before. Our police officer's job, this is what I told you from the beginning. Our police officer's job is never going to be to enforce federal immigration policy, and our police did not enforce federal immigration policy today. If there are people in our community who have law or who report that they have law, whether they're federal agents or not, whether they're documented or not, no matter what their immigration status is, our police officers have a role in this. Our police officers have a role, and that's why our police officers are here.
Isn't it weird? He said his police officers that also were dispatched to the scene, they have a role here, and their role is definitely not to enforce federal policy. I guess it's to back up these, Gestapo members to enforce their policies. I mean, it's just Donald Trump's policy. You can call it federal policy, but it's fascist policy to go and attack American citizens and run up on people's lawns and threaten them with arrest for coming out and saying, get the hell out of here. But, Mayor of St. Paul says his police aren't doing anything. Well, I think we saw that, but what they were doing was protecting the federal agents. That apparently is their job now, no longer to protect the city that they work for. I don't know a lot of the background of this mayor. I also don't know where his stance has been on other attacks of other cities, or if he's welcomed this in, or if he feels like he has to do it, or else he's going to be threatened in some kind of way with his political future. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if he's afraid. I don't know what his normal thought processes are, but I do know he's only thinking about his police officers who were dispatched out there to be a part of this whole thing. Maybe someone should ask him more questions, or maybe he should be asked those questions, when he wants to run for re-election. If he does. I also read that his time is up, or his term is up at the beginning or in January. Maybe he'll be asked about it further. Maybe he's gonna have a really good answer, and I'll even be happy with it. But right now, there's residents being attacked by Trump agents who are there to attack them, and then your police officers aren't doing anything about it. I just want to point that out. That's what's going on in St. Paul. Let's move on. I'm trying to go more rapidly. You guys see, I moved on. I'm not talking too much about that this time. Let's jump onto this, because I just the other day, maybe it was like, what's today, Wednesday? Like Monday. Do you guys remember Brooke Rollins? She was on CNBC and she was talking about soybeans being sold. I want to give you guys a quick update. It's from the same appearance, and I'm a little bit upset at myself that I didn't see it then. But this is what she said when she was asked for more specifics about those soybeans as we go through this golden era of Donald Trump's economy. Soybeans that these American farmers are struggling to get sold somewhere. Here's a question about her newest and latest promises.
My understanding is that you said, and the White House said, that China was going to buy 12 million metric tons of soybeans from the United States by January. We're now just about a month and a half away from that. They have, according to the USDA report, only made two big purchases, and they total in total 332,000 metric tons. How is that pledge, if that is a real pledge, and China has not confirmed that pledge, going to be made in that quick a time?
Andrew, thank you. We're actually about 1.5 million metric tons, but your point is still salient, right? That 1.5 million of 12 million, we've got a significant way to go. I know they are inking the deal this week or next week. Again, every sign is their commitment remains true, that they will indeed buy or purchase 12 million metric tons or put the order in. It doesn't mean we'll move 12 million metric tons by the end of December, but it means that those orders will come in according to their commitment and their promise to our president and to Secretary Besson and to Ambassador Greer. So again, we have every indication that those will continue to move. Even if the purchase order comes in before the end of December, those will move early next year.
Say what? Okay, wait. First off, she wanted to correct him about the 12 million metric tons of soybeans that China was supposed to buy by the end of this year. That means like December, next month. It's supposed to be over. But his number was on 300,000, somewhere around there. But she wanted to correct him. It's actually 1.5 million metric tons. I mean, but I know it's still not great. But the main thing here is that this was supposed to be done, and now it's all based in, we still hope that'll happen. We're inking the deal still in the next week or next week. Isn't it weird how it's every 2 weeks something else is supposed to happen and it ain't happen? Two weeks has lasted this whole year, and also Donald Trump's first term. Everything is in a couple of weeks. It never works out, but they keep talking about how we're selling all these soybeans. In case you guys didn't see what she said before, I won't play the whole thing. In case you guys didn't see what they were responding to and asked her for further details on, this was the promise. Notice she's wearing that same red suit jacket in the same interview on CNBC to talk about how this is what she promised right before someone asked her, wait, that's not real. But she wanted to get
We're
away
selling
with
a lot
this.
more soybeans than we were, though, a couple of months ago when we first started
that was the
talking
big
about
problem. China went from the biggest buyer of soybeans to zero purchases
That's
of
right.
soybeans. That was the biggest issue that happened. That happened on President Trump's watch.
Well, so we have seen a decline from China buying soybeans for years. It is an important point, though, because China just a few years ago was buying about 65% of our soybeans from America. They have pivoted to buying a lot of Brazilian soybeans. And also the president has said, as has Secretary Bessent, that using our soybean farmers for leverage is not okay. So in the last, just a couple of weeks ago, the announcement was that China is back on to buy soybeans, 12 million metric tons this year, 25 million metric tons over the next few years.
That's what she said in that same interview. I'm gonna check both videos. Oh yeah, she's wearing that same, dark red suit jacket. So it was definitely the same interview, unless she wears the same thing every time she goes on CNBC and then information exchange. It doesn't even matter if that was the case. Why did you lie and say that there's gonna be 12 million metric tons of soybeans bought by the end of the year before someone asked you for specifics of knowledge that they already knew was a lie, and you had to then reel back and say, well, maybe the next couple weeks we'll ink that deal. They're going to ink that deal in the next couple of weeks. And the problem is, this is the main point of this whole story this time on our economy is, what about those deals they keep talking about? Remember, there was a bunch of deals that were supposed to be inked when it comes to all of these trade negotiations, the art of the deal maker. Donald Trump is really going to make these things happen at the beginning of April. Remember all that stuff that they kept talking about? I mean, even if they were inking the deal, this same familiar face of this red-cheeked soybean farmer that's been talking about the destruction of his life ever since Donald Trump came into office, even if they did it, he's still in a bad spot.
Kentucky. What's tough to understand, despite the new trade deal that President Trump says will have the Chinese buying soybeans again, the farmer behind all this says he still won't make a single dime of profit.
These soybeans will probably lose $150 to $175 an acre. That's a $180,000 loss for my operation. And I'm not unique to anybody else in this area.
So Kentucky.
Almost $200,000 worth of loss. That's even if they do it right then. But the hard part about this whole thing is you have to believe people like Howard Lutnick, Donald Trump, Kevin Hassett, what's Herman Munster's name again? Scott Bessent, all of them. You have to believe them when they say things are just going to be great. But I want you to listen closely. Here's another flashback clip just from last week when Howard Lutnick was promising the new golden era of affordability in this country since they got their asses whooped in that special election across the country. And the main thing was affordability. Now they have that new term in their brain, like, man, let's look up affordability. What the f is affordability? Now that they've got that under their belt, this is the new talking point. But listen closely to how Howard Lutnick talks about what these deals have been and what it is that they're shifting now towards for these deals.
All right. And what happened is the president said, look, it's been 6 months. It's time. Let's just wipe the slate clean. If people haven't made deals with these smaller countries, it's okay. Let's cut the price on all these unavailable natural resources and let's focus on affordability. So what you're going to watch is the president's going to focus on the small things that touch the American's pocketbook and is going to bring them all down.
Do you guys remember all year, ever since April 2nd, when he started talking about all these deals he's going to have done, 99 deals in 99 days? Remember all that talk? Now, Howard Lutnick, after they got their asses whooped in those elections. And he has to bring up affordability and how Donald Trump's going to bring down prices by pulling back some tariffs, pulling back tariffs on things that were never signed in the first place. He said, what we're going to do now is shift and wipe the slate clean on some of these smaller deals that never really got materialized. And we're going to move on to start using his power to bring down the prices, the power he brought from tariffs. He thinks he can say it real fast and you not notice that they're saying they never had any deals in place, even though they've been saying all year they've got 99 deals in 99 days. I'm sorry, in 2 more weeks, but they've got 99 deals, a deal with every country in the world. That is until these things start coming out, and it's been destructive. As back in May and June and July, people were saying this is going to get really bad at the end of the year. Look, check it out. It's the end of November. That would cause this to be the end of the year. So now that it's the end of the year and things are fucked up, now they're saying, oh, those deals were never in place. So we're going to let those go and start using our power to bring them back. They don't expect you to actually listen to what it is that they're saying. As a matter of fact, even when they get cornered, let's go for the full murderer's row of these economic liars. Kevin Hassett, I mentioned before. This is him talking about Thanksgiving again. If you guys listen and watch all the madness that I go through every day, this is him talking again about this Thanksgiving damn dinner from Walmart.
Favorite moments on a Sunday show for me last week was on one of the Sunday shows. You can look it up. I won't attack the poor fellow that was the anchor. He criticized the fact that Walmart said that the Thanksgiving dinner is cheaper by, I think it was about $10 for a typical Thanksgiving dinner. And then he said, oh, yeah, but they substituted generic stuff, as if like having a generic something is a crime for ordinary folks. It shows how out of touch these people are. I get generics
it's so
all the
silly.
time. I'm just saying.
So
Kevin Hassett needs to stop with the fucking Joker smile. I talked last week. I'm not going to reveal the poor guy's name. It was Jonathan Karl on ABC when he got cornered on his lies about this Walmart lower priced Thanksgiving dinner. And his retelling of the story was that all Jonathan Karl said was that it was just generic brands that had been switched from previous years to now this year. And the reasons why those prices were lower was that. But we're so out of touch with the American people. Do you guys think Kevin Hassett buys generic brand anything as he just claimed he did? Do you really think that? Nobody believes that lie. But also, no one should believe the lie that he said all it was generic brands that were switched at Walmart. Because, there's this weird thing we can do in 2025. We can go and listen to that moment and see all the things that Jonathan Karl, the guy that Kevin Hassett didn't want to name. And the reason he didn't want to name him is because people could look up and go, oh, he was talking to Jonathan Karl. And Jonathan Karl kicked his ass into this very simple fact check about the lies they've been telling.
The president claims that Thanksgiving costs are down 25%. I mean, does he know that's not true?
Well, if you look at Walmart and the few places that put out their prices of Thanksgiving
wait a
baskets.
minute. I got to stop because the Walmart comparison's like not a thing. I mean, Walmart had a Thanksgiving package last year. They've got a Thanksgiving package this year. The one this year contains much less than what the one last year took. So that's why the price is less. Look, we got a chart here. Last year, it was 21 total products. This year, it's 15. Total number of items in those products was 29% now. 29 now it's 22. There's more generic brand stuff. So I mean, Thanksgiving. If you're going to the store to buy groceries for Thanksgiving, it's going to be more expensive.
I really don't understand where you're going in the sense that Joe Biden gave us 20%
He's not
inflation.
president. Donald Trump's president.
No, and you want us to fix the hole that Joe Biden
No, I'm
dug
just saying,
right away.
why does the president tell
the prices went up so much under Joe Biden?
Isn't it weird? He didn't want to reveal that poor anchor's name, but the problem is if you actually watch the interaction with that poor anchor, Kevin Hassett's voice kept getting higher and higher. I don't understand why you're going to this point. Why are you doing this? No, it's back to Joe Biden's fault. I'm not sure why you're doing this to me, Jonathan. We have an agreement. You're not supposed to embarrass me and expose my lies on TV, or else I might go over to Fox News a week later and claim that this conversation we're having was completely different than what it is that we had. They even had a damn graphic up talking about the fewer number of items and generics. That's how you operate in Donald Trump's administration if you're an effing liar. If you're Kevin Hassett, you operate there in Donald Trump's administration. After you're busted, you go back and say you just won that debate. Isn't it weird how that works? But it does work, because once you do that, you might be elevated to a position that you were absolutely unqualified for. And the main reason that you're getting it is because you dropped to your knees on a moment's notice to put Donald Trump's ass all on your face.
Give us your response, your thoughts on Kevin Hassett as the next potential Fed chair.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he's seen by markets as the candidate that is closest to the administration in terms of their views on interest rates, and that is, it's clearly more dovish than the central, the consensus on the committee right now. Just in terms of the outlook for him, it's no guarantee that Powell will step down from the board when his chairmanship ends in May. So we think the administration will probably want to install whoever they want to be their next Fed chair when Steve Myron's, kind of short stub seat ends in January. So we think that they will try to do that. If they want Kevin Hassett, genuinely to be the next chair, he could be installed as soon as when the Myron seat expires. But when he gets on the committee, there's still a big question on, can he convince the other members of the FOMC in his views and to lower interest rates, if that is indeed his views.
Kevin Hassett's been working his way to take Jerome Powell's place as the Fed chair so they can lower interest rates. Too late, Jerome Powell, the latest dumbass nickname from Donald Trump to Jerome Powell. Kevin Hassett could get that position, except, as again, it's a Fed board of folks, and he's going to have to convince them of some things. He's not very good at convincing people of anything. We just saw him lying about the Thanksgiving dinner again, and after being busted on it, going back to lying about it some more. It's weird, but that's how you get advancement in this administration, who's the whole requirements and qualifications that you have here is to be a liar. Absolute liar. Know very little about the things that you're supposed to be in positions of, and then when you get there, screw things up and act like you just won. That's all it takes. That's really easy. 10-year-olds can do that. I mean, I'm actually dishonest 10-year-olds. Most 10-year-olds be like, I can't do this. That's what Kevin Hassett should be saying, but they're willing to do it. Again, they're going to lower interest rates in a golden era of the economy. Why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense. I'm just want to point that out. It's just about the top of the hour. I have a whole last fourth story I want to talk about. Should I do it? We're about to go on to break. You know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna run through this pretty fast because I still have other things happening, of course, today. I'm here for you guys. I got a Bang energy drink. Oh my God, it's not that good, which I'm not gonna finish. And I've got stories happening. So if you guys are taking off, if you head over to John's show, I can't remember who's guest hosting today, but tell them I say, hey, go ahead on your way out. Like this stream, share this stream, tell your friends about it, and come back and check out this last story that I'm about to do later in case you miss it. But I did see someone in the chat at the beginning say they'll hang around for it. So even if there's just one of you hanging around for it, I'm all on board. So let's do it. I just want to give you the full range of incompetence that this administration, following behind this president, are dealing in. Let's talk a little bit more Russia, shall we? Did you guys hear about this? He's on Air Force One.
I believe next week in Moscow.
Next week in Moscow?
I think so, yes.
What kinds of concessions are the Russians going to have to make?
Well, they're making concessions. Their big concession is they stop fighting and they don't take any more land. Again, it's a war that would have never happened if I was president. This was not anything that was going to happen. This happened because of stupidity. It's too bad. I believe next week.
That sounds like a really good deal for Russians. You invade a country and your concessions are to stop killing people and to stop taking more land. But the land that you took, have at it, bro. Congratulations. You invaded a country. You get to take land. That's actually what both Trump and Pete Hegseth have been talking about for months now. They're like, to the invader go the spoils. If they took over the land, they get to have it, right? Take it over some more. But what they're going to give up on is to continue to be invaders. Nothing. That's what the negotiation. That's what the art of the deal guy who said he's going to end this in 24 hours once he becomes president is now at. Give Vladimir Putin anything he wants with the promise that he's broken 100 times to one, stop fighting, which I just heard like a month ago. They said they brokered some kind of ceasefire that he didn't pay attention to, but he'll stop doing it now as long as you give him everything he wants. These few Republican congressmen and senators, they said this back in September. This is a compilation of three of them from September.
Russia's playing, really playing us like a piano right now. He's gotten everything he wants. He's gotten access to the president with a red carpet reception.
I think it is time to move on Russia's sanctions. President Trump wants to make sure that he is giving every opportunity for peace to get this war resolved, but Putin is playing him right now, and I think the president understands that.
He's been weak on Russia. I think he's been great on Iran, but he has been terrible on Russia. He is unable to call Putin out as the invader and have a more moral clarity about who's at fault in this war.
Russia's playing.
They knew he was getting played in September. Shit, they knew he was getting played last time he was in office. They knew he was getting played when he came into office. They've always known that he's getting played. So as he gets played further and further, now we've gotten to the point of the negotiations are give Vladimir Putin everything that he wants in front of everyone's faces. If that's some kind of good negotiations, we have to start detaching ourselves, or at least expanding our brains and listening to people who aren't the president of the United States or his lackeys talk about how bad this really is, how it really looks on the world stage, because of course it's not just the United States, Russia, and Ukraine that are involved in this whole thing. As he's mentioned before, he wants European nations to be involved. He wants their input in these things and their support in these things. But as they see him continue to support Vladimir Putin every day, there's things that people like the former prime minister of Finland, Sanna Marin here, that she says about what this looks like and how bad it really is that he's over here carrying water for Vladimir Putin. Everyone sees it. You just have to pay attention rather than listen to the lie any further. Here's Sanna Marin.
Way out of the conflict. The way out of the conflict is to Russia to leave Ukraine. That's the way out of the conflict. Thank you.
She even laughed as she walked off. She goes, it's a pretty simple answer. Russia has to leave Ukraine. That's the way out of this conflict. Not Russia continue to do whatever the hell they want, which is apparently the United States stance on this behind Donald Trump and Steve Witkoff. Hey, here's another person, the EU High Representative of Foreign Affairs and Security Policy. Her name is Kaja Kallas. She also talked about how bad this is and what it really looks like when they're giving Vladimir Putin any and everything he wants.
It is important that we continue to support Ukraine and pressure Russia. That is what we are working on. Everyone welcomes the United States push for peace. We all want this war to end, but how it ends also matters. We must keep in mind that there is one aggressor and one victim. An immediate and unconditional ceasefire must be the first step to ending the war. But right now we see zero indication that Russia is ready for a ceasefire. Russia is not winding down its military machine, but ramping it up. We still need to get from a situation where Russia pretends to negotiate to a situation where they need to negotiate. The threat really here is Russia. In last 100 years, Russia has attacked more than 19 countries, some as many as 3 or 4 times. None of these countries has ever attacked Russia. So in any peace agreement, we have to put the focus on how to get concessions from Russian side, that they stop aggression for good and do not try to change borders by force. There are rarely wars in the world where the situation is so clear-cut as it is here. We have one aggressor and one victim. The focus should be on what Russia, the aggressor, must do, not what Ukraine, the victim, must sacrifice.
It's weird when you hear it. You're like, well, of course, all this is such common sense, but we're caught in this weird bubble of American leadership here behind Donald Trump, where apparently a guy who has illustrated over and over again, he has no desire to stop fighting until he gets everything that he wants. That the answer is now, hey, just give him everything he wants and he'll stop fighting. Come on, bro. Everyone sees that. But from the beginning, just this administration and people that were getting getting grilled on confirmations, they couldn't even say that Russia had invaded Ukraine. It was the simplest realization of what is that we've seen that they are not allowed to admit. If they're not allowed to admit that, why would they then go further as to push them to have to do something to make this whole thing end? There's a reason why it continues on. There's reasons why they continue to want to talk to Donald Trump and Steve Witkoff. You know, that same Steve Witkoff that has been the special envoy to Russia to talk about this whole thing, which should have been fired, I would guess, considering nothing has happened yet, but he's doing what Donald Trump wants him to do. He's doing Vladimir Putin's bidding. As a matter of fact, this is what he did behind Donald Trump's back. This is how much Steve Witkoff is involved with Vladimir Putin. An October 14th phone call lasted a little over 5 minutes, and Steve Witkoff advised Yuri Yushakov, Putin's top foreign policy aide, on how the Russian leader should broach the issue with Trump. His guidance included suggestions on setting up a Trump-Putin call before Volodymyr Zelensky's White House visit later that week and using the Gaza agreement as a way in. Steve Witkoff's sumbitch ass was behind the scenes negotiating and talking to one of Putin's top foreign policy aides about how they could have an in to talk to Donald Trump about how to get him to do whatever the hell it is that Vladimir Putin wants him to do. The only problem I have with that whole thing is that Steve Witkoff didn't have to have that conversation with Putin's top aide. All he had to do was let Donald Trump talk to Vladimir Putin, which they did. I think it was in August, whenever that summit was. Maybe it was later. When they had their summit, and Vladimir Putin told Donald Trump directly, you do whatever the hell I tell you to do, or else I'm going to relieve and release whatever it is that I've got on you. And, your whole life is over at that point. Whatever it is they've got on him, they're afraid of these guys. But Steve Witkoff went there and said, this is how you approach the president of the United States to manipulate him further for your own purposes. I keep hearing about sedition, treason, all these words about what leaders in the country are doing to sell out the United States and the concern for our foreign policy and our national security. All those things they keep saying that they're all empty words because there's nothing behind that rhetoric. Last thing here. Donald Trump was asked about the Steve Witkoff revelations, which is an even bigger deal here. He didn't even know about it, which he's about to admit now. Even if you didn't, you probably shouldn't tell everyone you didn't know that your special envoy is behind your back, finding ways to get Vladimir Putin to get an extra insight onto how to continue to control your puppet ass. He was asked about it. His answer was just as bad as the first one.
They're losing too many people.
Have you heard this audio that Bloomberg has of Witkoff coaching the Russians on how to appeal to you?
Well, I haven't heard it, no, but that's a standard thing. Because he's got to sell this to Ukraine. He's got to sell Ukraine to Russia. That's what a deal maker does. You got to say, look, they want this. You got to convince them with this. That's a very standard form of negotiation. I haven't heard it, but I heard it was standard negotiation. And I would imagine he's saying the same thing to Ukraine because each party has to give and take.
It sounds like he has no idea what it was that he's even talking about. That the question came up and he hadn't even heard about this, or he'd heard about it. He's trying to find some way to act like, what it is that he didn't know, that he admitted he didn't know was somehow a good thing. That's how negotiations are. Negotiations are when your special envoy goes behind your back to help the guy that invaded a country that continues to want to continue fighting in that country and then potentially go to other areas, that he tells that guy on how to continue to play your ass, because he has utmost loyalty to that guy. That's how negotiations work, according to Donald Trump. I think we can see why all of his negotiations, business-wise, politically, and everything that he's done, always end up in the shithole because he doesn't know what he's doing. Or he knows what he's doing, and he's working for Vladimir Putin, along with now Marco Rubio, Steve Witkoff, and the rest of his entire administration who like to talk about traitors. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Hope you make it to Friday. Or if you don't, I mean, we can find, some new battle to have if we make it even that far. But that's what we've got. These are the people running the country. This isn't even a full year in, man. This is not a full year in. The destruction's everywhere. So I hope you guys enjoy your time with family, if you're going to be around family, or find some way to make yourself smile and happy for just a minute. I know there's a lot of doom and gloom on this stream. But as you guys head over to TDR, tell them I say, hey, I heard someone point out that Sharon is hosting today. So tell Sharon I say, hey, apologies for the lateness. We had a lot of grub and a lot of drinks to have in our pre-Thanksgiving show. Again, one last program. I will not be doing the stream tomorrow nor Friday. There will be videos up, though, just as there will be today after I post these back up later. Go check them out. Go ahead and like those as well. Share them. Let people know what we're doing. Glad to see you guys. Hope you guys have a great long weekend if you get the long weekend. We'll see you guys on a fabulous Monday. See you later, Mom.